The rusty gate creaked, a mournful sound in the stillness. Daniel shivered, pulling his jacket tighter against the evening chill. Twilight painted the sky in hues of purple and orange, casting long shadows across the deserted playground. He hesitated, a sense of unease settling in his gut. He shouldn't be here, not after dark. Daniel took a hesitant step onto the cracked asphalt. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen presence. He could almost feel eyes watching him, their gaze cold and assessing. He told himself it was just his imagination, fueled by childhood fears and local legends. But deep down, a primal fear stirred within him. The playground loomed before him, a skeletal silhouette against the dying light. The once vibrant colors of the playground equipment had faded into a dull, lifeless gray, mirroring the somber mood that enveloped the area. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows that seemed to stretch out and grasp at the remnants of joy that once filled this place. The swings swayed gently, their chains groaning a mournful rhythm. Each creak echoed through the empty playground, a haunting reminder of the laughter and play that had long since vanished. The wind whispered through the rusted chains, carrying with it the ghostly echoes of children's voices, now just a distant memory. The slide stood silent, its metal surface cold and unwelcoming. Once a source of delight, it now seemed like a relic of a forgotten time. The moonlight reflected off its surface, casting an eerie glow that only added to the sense of desolation. It was as if the slide itself mourned the absence of the children who once raced down its length with gleeful abandon. The air hung thick with the scent of decay and something else, something Daniel couldn't quite place. The fog rolled in, wrapping the playground in a shroud of mystery and melancholy. Decaying leaves crunched underfoot, and overgrown plants encroached upon the once well-tended grounds, reclaiming the space for nature. It smelled of forgotten memories and unspoken sorrow. The playground was a testament to the passage of time, a place where joy had once flourished but now lay dormant, buried beneath layers of neglect and abandonment. Each piece of equipment told a story, a tale of happier days now lost to the relentless march of time. A lone figure sat perched on the edge of the sandbox, its head bowed. The figure's presence added an element of mystery and unease to the already somber scene. Who were they, and why had they come to this forsaken place? The question swirled in Daniel's mind as he watched from a distance. Daniel's heart leaped into his throat. The sight of the figure filled him with a sense of dread and curiosity. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong, that this encounter was more than just a chance meeting in an abandoned playground. He squinted, trying to make out the figure's features, but the shadows played tricks on his eyes. The dim light made it difficult to discern any details, and the figure remained an enigma, shrouded in darkness and mystery. Daniel's mind raced with possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. As he drew closer, the figure slowly lifted its head, and a cold dread washed over him. The figure's face, now partially illuminated by the moonlight, revealed a haunting expression that sent chills down Daniel's spine. It was a look of profound sadness and despair, a reflection of the playground's own melancholic state. Daniel knew in that moment that this encounter would change him forever, leaving an indelible mark on his soul. The figure was gone. Daniel blinked, his pulse quickening. Had he imagined it? A sudden gust of wind rustled the leaves in the nearby trees, sending a shiver down his spine. The wind carried with it a whisper, faint and indistinct like a child's voice calling out. He strained to hear, his senses on high alert. The whisper came again, closer this time, and Daniel could have sworn he heard his name. He spun around, searching for the source of the voice, but the playground remained eerily empty. His mind raced, trying to rationalize what he was hearing, but fear had a firm grip on his logic. A high-pitched giggle echoed across the playground, piercing the stillness of the night, sending chills down Daniel's spine. He felt a cold sweat break out on his forehead, his skin prickling with unease. It was close, too close. The sound seemed to come from right behind him, as if someone, or something, was standing just a breath away. He whirled around, his heart pounding in his chest, the adrenaline surging through his veins. His eyes darted around, searching for the source of the laughter, but there was no one there. The playground was empty, devoid of any life. The swings hung motionless, the slide cast long shadows in the dim light. The laughter faded as quickly as it had come, leaving behind an unsettling silence. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, as if the playground itself was holding its breath, leaving behind an unsettling silence. The kind of silence that makes you question your own sanity, that makes you wonder if you really heard what you thought you did. Daniel stood frozen, his breath caught in his throat. He could feel his pulse in his ears, a steady drumbeat of fear. He was alone, yet he felt surrounded. The shadows seemed to move, to shift, as if they were alive, watching him, waiting. He glanced nervously at the swings, his eyes widening in disbelief, noticing for the first time that they were moving. They swayed gently back and forth, as if an invisible child was playing on them. They swayed in unison, their chains creaking rhythmically, the sound echoing in the still night air, as if pushed by an unseen hand. The sight sent a shiver down his spine, a primal fear taking hold of him. A wave of nausea washed over him. This was wrong. Everything about this place felt wrong, like a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. This entire place was wrong. The playground, once a place of joy and laughter, now felt like a haunted relic, a place where the past refused to rest. He had to get out of there. Without a second thought, he turned and ran, his footsteps echoing in the empty playground, the laughter still ringing in his ears. Section 5. A town's dark secret. In the heart of this seemingly peaceful town lies a story that has been whispered through generations, a tale that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who dares to listen. As Daniel turned to leave, he noticed an old woman sitting on a nearby bench. She seemed out of place, like a ghost from another time, her presence both unsettling and intriguing. Her face was etched with wrinkles, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and warning. It was as if she carried the weight of the town's dark history in her gaze. "You shouldn't be here," she rasped, her voice hoarse with age. Her words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken fears and ancient secrets. This playground holds a dark past. The rusted swings and broken slides were silent witnesses to the horrors that once unfolded here. Daniel hesitated, torn between his fear and a strange curiosity. The old woman's words had ignited a spark of intrigue within him, a desire to uncover the truth. "What do you mean?" he asked cautiously. His voice trembled slightly, betraying his inner turmoil. The old woman sighed, her gaze drifting back to the playground. Her eyes seemed to see beyond the present, into a past filled with sorrow and loss. "Many years ago," she began, her voice barely a whisper, "a group of children vanished from this very spot. They were playing, laughing, and then, in the blink of an eye, they were gone. They were never seen again. The swings still move on their own, as if the children are still here, playing in a world we cannot see. Some say their spirits still linger here, seeking solace in the place of their final moments. The town has tried to forget, but the whispers of the past are too loud to ignore. The playground remains a haunting reminder of the tragedy, a place where the line between the living and the dead is blurred." Section 6. The swing sets sway. Daniel's gaze followed hers, settling on the swing set. It swayed rhythmically, its chains groaning under an invisible weight. He could almost picture the children, their laughter echoing through the years, their joy turning to terror in the blink of an eye. He shuddered, his blood running cold. "Their laughter," the old woman continued, her voice raspy with age, "it echoes through the years, a haunting reminder of what was lost. But it's their silence that truly chills the soul, the silence of unanswered questions, of unfinished games, of lives cut tragically short." Section 7. A Glimmer in the Twilight. As the old woman spoke, Daniel noticed something glinting beneath the swing set. It was a small silver locket, half hidden in the dirt. He bent down to pick it up, his fingers brushing against its cold surface. It was heart-shaped, engraved with a single word: Emily. He recognized the name instantly. Emily was one of the children who had disappeared all those years ago. He had seen her picture in the local newspaper archives, her smiling face forever frozen in time. A cold shiver ran down his spine. Section 8. Recognition's Echo. He looked up at the old woman, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and astonishment. "Emily," he breathed, holding up the locket. This was hers. The old woman's eyes widened, her wrinkled face etched with a mixture of shock and dread. She reached out a trembling hand, her fingers brushing against the locket's cold surface. "You shouldn't have touched that," she whispered, her voice filled with a strange urgency. "You've disturbed their peace. Now they'll never rest." She grabbed his arm, her grip surprisingly strong. "You have to go," she urged. "Leave this place and never come back." Section 9. A Race Against Time. Daniel didn't need to be told twice. He turned and ran, his heart pounding in his chest. He could hear the old woman's voice behind him, her warnings echoing in his ears. But above it all, he could hear something else. A child's laughter, high-pitched and filled with an unnatural glee. He glanced over his shoulder and saw them. The children. They were standing at the edge of the playground, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. They were smiling, but their smiles didn't reach their eyes. They were beckoning him, their voices calling out to him, their laughter growing louder with each passing second. Section 10, Inevitable Fate. Daniel stumbled, his foot catching on a loose piece of asphalt. He fell hard, scraping his hands on the rough ground. He scrambled to his feet, his heart racing, but it was too late. They were upon him, their cold hands reaching for him, their laughter echoing in his ears. He screamed, a primal sound of fear and despair, as they dragged him down into the darkness. The locket slipped from his grasp, falling to the ground with a soft thud. It lay there, forgotten and alone, a silent witness to the playground's dark secret. Section 11, Forever Bound. The next morning the sun rose over the playground, casting a warm glow over the swings, the slide, and the sandbox. But the warmth didn't reach the shadows that lurked in the corners, the shadows that held the echoes of laughter, the whispers of fear, and the chilling truth of what had transpired the night before. The playground stood silent, its secrets buried deep within its heart, but those who knew its history could still hear the echoes, the faint whispers of children's voices, forever bound to the place where they had vanished, their laughter a haunting reminder of the darkness that lay just beneath the surface.